Hi folks, how you doing? I'm Ross Minton. This is Grow Your Life. Hope you're all doing well. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a pleasant or a too pleasant video today because I need to sadly discuss some of the ableism that I've received online over the last few weeks. Basically, because I whistle blew on the rule breaking down the allotment in my Donington site, I got targeted by an online troll. Now, I can handle online trolling. It doesn't really bother me too much. But when things get serious and they start using ableist tropes and threats regarding my disability, then things take a serious turn then. And for example, I had to contact the police regarding this YouTube troll account that was created, I think, just to bully me online. The person who created it obviously used some kind of pseudonym, so I'm not quite sure who it is, although I have my ideas, and I'm sure the police probably have their ideas too. But it just goes to show how silly these people are, because they obviously don't know anything about IP addresses, and they don't understand that when you create an account on YouTube, as I'll put up here, you get a unique link, and that unique link will be linked back to your IP address, and your IP address is linked back to your actual address and who your internet provider is. So it's actually, if this continues any further, it'll be very easy for the police to find out who you are. So thanks for doing that, and thanks for trolling me on YouTube, because you've left a digital footprint that we can now hunt you down from. So anyway, let's get to it. So I'm going to go on a bit of history first. I don't know if many of you are aware. Some of you might have disabilities. Some of you might have family members or friends with disabilities. But every disabled person in the United Kingdom is allowed to apply for disability benefit regardless of your income. It used to be called DLA. It's now called PIP, Personal Independence Payment. And that's because living life as a disabled person is normally more expensive. The charity Scope, which is a disability charity, says the average extra cost for a disabled household is £975 per month. And that's obviously the average. Some people will be more, some people will be less. And obviously we know how averages work. And that's because living life as a disabled person is more expensive, because there's plenty of things that an able-bodied person might do without even thinking about it. A disabled person maybe has to spend money to do, or for instance, like just pop into the shops to get a pint of milk. You might walk there and walk back. A disabled person's more likely to get a taxi, get a car, and so on, and that all adds up. So just popping out for a pint of milk isn't £1, it's more like 6, and things like that. So anyway, so the actual disability charity Scope says it's £975 per month on average. All disabled people can claim some amount of money. It's tested on how severe your disability is, and it's various different levels. And I'm sure most of you will know through the news that it's quite a process to go through. I mean, they don't actually take any of your medical details into consideration, which is silly. They don't contact your doctor and say, is this person disabled? What is a disability? That you actually get assessed. Someone comes to your house and they assess you, and they're normally just an admin person, really. And so that's why it can be quite embarrassing, actually, for disabled people to go for disability benefits, because you have someone who has no knowledge of your disability asking you sometimes quite embarrassing, hurtful, horrible questions. Now, take me for example. Oh, before I go any further, just so you know, disability benefit in the UK is not means tested. So you could be a multimillionaire and you can claim disability benefit. Good example of this is the former Prime Minister, David Cameron. His late son had a disability, and David Cameron is believed to have claimed disability benefit, and rightly so, for his disabled son. And so it just goes to show that you could literally be a millionaire and you can still claim disability benefit in the UK, because it's not means tested. It's there to help you and your disability. Anyway, I have a disability called arthrogryposis, and I've had it since birth. Yes, every day of my life I've had to put up with this. And I could do an hour-long video just about my disability, but I'll touch on a few things. For instance, my hands don't work as they should. My fingers don't bend properly. I can do those 3 fingers down there. That one stays up all the time. They come down like that, and that's how my hands are all the time. That's the movement I've got in my hands. So it's hard for picking things up and stuff. And also, if I show you, that's as far as my hands rotate. So if I want to put my hand flat, I have to physically turn my entire body. So, for example, getting change in a shop is a real pain because I normally just open my wallet up and let people drop it in. So that's just my hands. My arthrogryposis affects every single muscle and joint in my body. It's everything: neck, shoulders, back, elbows, everything you can possibly think of is affected. It's affected in strength, in mobility, and I get muscle spasms and I get cramps. I'm in pain. Please, this is not me being a martyr, but I'm in some degree of pain probably all the time. Sitting here now, I can tell you that just looking at the camera and the way I'm perched on the sofa, pulling the back of my neck, back of my hamstring, my knee, and because I've been down the allotment this morning, my hands are very sore at the moment and they're cramping up, and I get this all the time, and I take a lot of pain medication for it, but you know, I've always had it, and you just try and get through it. So that's my condition. It affects my mobility. If, for instance, I stumble and fall quite a bit because I don't have a very good gait. Because of my obviously mobility, my joints are stiff. Sometimes when I'm walking, my foot can hit something and I can fall over. And there's lots of things. But anyway, we can be here for a while. So I've seen specialists at orthopaedic hospitals my entire life. I've had multiple operations. I have a specialist that I see every 12 months. I actually have 3 specialists that I see every 12 months. And my particular disability is quite rare. Although arthrogryposis, there's several thousand people in the world with it. My particular mutation of arthrogryposis, there's only 7 people in the world with it. Yeah, I'm literally 1 in a billion. Kind of cool, in a weird kind of way. Kind of wish I didn't have it. Hey, but if you're going to have a disability, why not have a rare one? So that's me. So, and I've had a fairly decent life as far as I'm aware. It's all I've known. My disability is all I've known. From leaving school, I went to college, university. I worked part-time at McDonald's, and I actually worked all my life up until I was 30. And then my disability got worse, and I had a unscrupulous employer, I won't name, but that's a video in itself. And they made me redundant, and it was quite hard actually. I've made videos about it, and you'll see from my intro video about when I talk about mental health and disability, and I talk about how it was quite hard being put on the working scrap heap at the age of 30. I love my job, I really did. I was a graphic designer, and being paid to draw, it was absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, the way my disability has now manifested itself, I don't know when my good and bad days are going to be. Sometimes I can wake up and I just can't use my hands. I just can't use them. So who's going to employ a graphic designer to go and draw when he might have to just ring up 3 times a week and say, I can't come in today because I can't hold a pen, I can't draw, I can't sit at my desk. Some days I'm in bed all day because I just can't move. My back is painful, it's absolute agony, and all I can do is manage to go from my bed to the toilet and back again, and that's it. And that happens a lot more than you think. One of the reasons I don't post as many videos as I can or videos as I want to, is because I just don't have the energy. I mean, once I've done my allotment, once I've done the school run, things around the house, spent some time with the kids and things like that, I'm pooped. I'm absolutely pooped, and I'm worn out so quickly. And then I might spend 24, 48 hours in bed in considerable amounts of pain. Again, not being a martyr. This is just explaining my disability to you folks, so you know just what I have to kind of put up with, really, in order to get by day to day. Now you know a little bit more about my disability. Let's go back to the allotment, shall we? Most of the people down the allotment, they know me. I'm sure plenty of them know that I have a disability. I think it's quite obvious if you watch me walk, to be fair. And obviously some of them have watched my videos, and I'm sure they've seen me talk about this in the past. So anyway, since I reported the rule breaking to the council, I started to get trolled. Right, so let's show you some of the messages I was sent. I'll pop a few up here for you, and I'll also read a few out. So here you go. This I think this is the first one I received, and it was like, I don't think you have any idea what a nasty piece of work Ross is. He's been behaving in a real threatening way towards most of the people on the allotment. Some are now considering giving up. This man is a huge problem, and it's time someone speaks up. Okay. That's all bullshit. Absolutely rubbish. I haven't threatened anyone. All I've done is try to get people to follow the rules, like not using creosote, spraying weed killer, and picking up dog poo. and that's angered somebody. Now, going by the messages, I'm pretty sure that this person is on the allotment because they're giving the game away slightly, because they've actually mentioned a few things that only someone on the allotment would know. And they've also made strange comments, like on one of my videos, they put, "God, you love the sound of your own voice. Get a life. The chemicals you're talking about are no longer sold. Whinger." Yeah, of course I like the sound of my own voice. Grow Your Own Life, the YouTube channel that you're commenting on, is my vlog site. I literally vlog about my life. That's kind of the point. I invite everyone on this page to have a look at your allotment. It's an absolute tip. Let you, Ross, have the cheek to spout off about everyone else. Your allotment is overgrown with stinging nettles, and all the rubbish you have on both of your allotments is a health and safety hazard. So clean it up already. Okay. Because I can deal with all the other stuff. I can deal with all the BS. I can deal with the petty name calling and stuff like that. That's not a problem. But this is the one which led me to go to the police, because this is ableism, and this is an ableist trope that is bandied around and thrown at disabled people all the time. And I'll read it in its entirety, and you can, well, hear it for yourself. Ross, everyone is getting a bit fed up with your continuous complaining and trashing all the time. Never trashed anything. I literally made one video about the creosote use, and it angered people because they were called out on the rule breaking. These people are only angry because they've been caught, and someone's willing to actually whistleblow on them. That's the only reason they're angry. So just remember that. Ross, everyone's getting a bit fed up with your continuous complaining and trashing all the time. You obviously have too much time on your hands. It's a nice little trope that gets thrown to disabled people who are unemployed. Perhaps find a job already instead of leeching off the taxpayer. You sound perfectly capable of finding employment instead of being a welfare willy. You are 39, for goodness sake. Stop harassing hard-working pensioners on the allotment. I haven't harassed any pensioners on the allotment. It's not my fault that the people breaking the rules are pensioners. I don't particularly care what age they are. But the fact that they've written that in there, I presume that the person who wrote this was one of the pensioners. End of the day, you can be 18 or 80. If you're going to break the rules and try and get away with it, I'm going to call you out on it, aren't I? I noticed that you do not show the plastic rubbish you have on your plot. Conveniently forgot to film that, did you? ? You are nothing but a troublemaker, and we have all had enough. Now go enjoy your cricket while the hard-working taxpayer payer is contributing to your free rent and lavish lifestyle. You certainly know how to benefit from it. Sickening. Now, this person clearly doesn't know me, and I wish I did have free rent. I honestly really wish I did. But no, I pay my rent. Thank you very much. But this is one of these common tropes that gets thrown out to people with disabilities, especially when people are jealous. They're obviously jealous of your lifestyle. Now, at the age of 30, after being made redundant and suffering quite badly from being put on the medical scrap heap because I couldn't do the job I loved to the standard that I wanted to do it anymore. As I've said, I can no longer do 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, sitting at a Mac doing graphic works. I just can't do it. I can't even sit in my armchair over there for longer than an hour or so without excruciating pain, and I have to go and lie down or stand up or do something else. I literally have to manage my disability almost on an hour-by-hour basis. Even the fact that I've been sat here now for 20 minutes talking to camera is already starting to cramp me up and seize me up, and I'll have to get up in a minute, go for a wander around, have some stretches, probably take some painkillers, and then come back and finish this video in a bit. So what happened was, after I was made redundant, and I shouldn't have to justify this, but I'm going to do it just so this person can be called out, and so people know that I do pay my rent and I do pay my way. Me and my partner, we swapped roles. She was a mom, housewife, I suppose. What's the homemaker? That's the word. She was a homemaker, and then she wanted to go back into work because she was really missing it, and we swapped roles. So I became the homemaker, and she went back to work. I mean, she has a good job, and the lifestyle we live, sustainable living, we don't need two incomes coming into our home. We just don't need it. I'm not wasting loads of money on frivolous things. My whole vlog is about sustainable living. We try and squeeze every bit of value out of every pound we spend. And because we do that, we can live the lifestyle that we choose. And even if that wasn't the case, what the bloody hell has it got to do with you? Who are you to question my disability? Who are you? So Janet Cooper, the troll who's written all this, calling me a welfare willy and saying that the hard-working taxpayer is paying my rent. Well, it's lies, isn't it, Janet? Well, it's not Janet, is it? We know who you are. It's lies, isn't it, Janet? Because no one is paying my rent. So, and there is no frivolous lifestyle. In fact, I would argue against that as my career as a graphic designer, I've probably paid towards your pension more than you've paid towards me. So how about you pop that in your pipe and smoke it, Janet? So here's a comment that really annoyed me, and I'll explain why. So you've been complaining since 3 years ago about the dog poo. Say no more. Well, yeah, because when people don't pick up their dog poo, it tends to annoy people, and then you complain about it. I presume by this comment that you think that dog poo should be allowed all over an allotment. No idea. Anyway, every video you posted is all about you. Yeah, we've touched on this, Janet. It's a vlog about me, kind of how it works. You're so self-absorbed. Anyone knows me probably knows that I'm probably the least self-absorbed person going. I'm uncomfortable in my own skin 90% of the time. Another thing of being disabled. Thanks for asking, Janet. So how much are you making from these videos and your subscriptions? Has this affected your benefits at all? Have you declared your income? ? Now, this is where it's really annoying, because this person hasn't got a clue anything about me or anything about my life, what I do, my disability, and they don't know about my finances. But what they can do in the UK, which is really annoying, is they can anonymously report disabled people for not being disabled. And this has actually happened to me a few years ago. Yes, I kid you not. I'm not quite sure who the person was who did it, but I have an idea, and it was regarding a falling out over a fishing situation, fishing club I'm in. And not long after someone got annoyed with something I'd said about how a fishing pool was being run, I was called into the DWP because they'd had an anonymous tip-off that I wasn't disabled. Yeah, it's good, that, isn't it? It's good. So I had to go to the DWP, where I sat there in front of the admin person, and they basically said, we've had a report that you're cheating the benefit system because you're not disabled. I literally put my hands flat on the desk and went, there's my hands. I have a condition called arthrogryposis. I said, I've had it since birth. I said, if you'd like to contact my doctor, my GP, or my specialist at the hospital, I said, I'm sure they would confirm that for you. But as far as I'm concerned, I said, I don't think I have anything to hide here. I said, so do your worst. And the woman basically, after they have to go through questionnaire and tick boxes, and she was like, sorry about this. This is just a waste of time for you and for me and everyone else. And nothing obviously ever come of it. And the benefit system, the DWP, could quite easily contact people's doctors, consultants, and say, is this person disabled? What disability do they have? Oh, right, okay, fair enough. Put the phone down, and they could scrub that off as being, a malicious complaint. But they don't. The DWP call you in, and they treat you as if you're a criminal straight away. So when people write comments like that, as a disabled person, you know that you're probably going to get a malicious report to the DWP, because all they have to do is they have to just go onto a website. They basically can put your details in, and they can say this person isn't disabled, they're a fraudster. They can do that knowing that you will get a letter in the post basically saying that you need to come in at such and such a time for an interview. It's normally a few weeks down the line, so it causes weeks and months of anxiety and stress, because sometimes, it's not happened to me, but sometimes you can be interviewed under caution as well. So a disabled person can be maliciously accused of not being disabled. They can receive a letter in the post basically saying that you need to come to this place on this date where you'll be interviewed under caution about your disability. Now, these horrible ableist trolls do this And they do it all the time, and they do it to lots of people. Go on Twitter, ask disabled people who are maybe activists or journalists or people in the public eye, that, or even if there's been a thing in the street where maybe a disabled person has annoyed someone slightly. One of the first things some of these horrible people do is report them as not being disabled. DWP's reporting system allows for horrible people like Janet to report you anonymously, and there's no comeback on them whatsoever. And they do it to disabled people because they know the anxiety and the suffering it will cause. And there's also there's been cases, right? I don't know why. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because if I don't laugh, I'll cry. When I was researching into this, okay, to make sure I got my facts right for this video, I come across stories online where people have been disabled people, legitimate, genuine disabled people, have had malicious complaints made against them that they're not disabled. And because the review process has gone on so long with the DWP and the anxiety built up, they've taken their own lives. The first video on my channel is called Disability Awareness and Mental Health, where I talk about how losing my job almost drove me to my chickens saved my life because they gave me something to do. And then this person goes and writes that stuff on my vlog site. Okay? It's callous. It's hatred. It's pure evil, in my opinion. And the person who wrote that, whoever you are, I think you're scum. Absolute scum. And I think everyone on Donington Allotment site who should be aware that someone on our site is a scumbag, an absolute scumbag, that they would go after a genuine disabled person who vlogs about the disability and their mental health, and then they would write those comments calling them a welfare willy, essentially a scrounger, and saying how the hard-working taxpayer is paying for their rent and everything else, and how their YouTube channel, they should declare it because it would impede on their benefits. Just so you know, by the way, I make barely any money off my YouTube channel. As some of you will see, most of my videos barely get 500 views. I tell you how much I made last year. Whole year last year, 300 quid. Didn't even cover the costs. Didn't even cover the cost for the camera batteries and the GoPro and everything else I bought to go with it. My channel literally runs at a loss. And the only reason I do it is because I want to help other disabled people, and anyone actually, to get outside and grow their own lives. That's the whole point of it. Janet, watch my first video where I talk about mental health and disability, and I talk about how it's important for people to get outside. Otherwise they can fall into a dark place. But I presume, going by your comments, Janet, that you'd probably quite like me to kill myself, wouldn't you? That's what you're aiming at. I mean, to set up a YouTube account and systematically bully a disabled person and then make accusations about benefit fraud, it's pretty sickening, really, isn't it, Janet? So I imagine that's what you're angling for. I imagine your goal when you sat home with your glass of beer or your glass of wine and you wrote those comments. I imagine you were secretly deep down hoping that I'd get so worked up and angry about this that I'd probably kill myself. Was that your goal? I presume so. Feel free to comment below, Janet. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. You can throw out these accusations and you can throw out this bullying tropes and rhetoric at a disabled person anonymously, but you haven't got the actual guts to come and say it to my face. I mean, you know where my plot is. At any point, you could come down there, you could stand there, and you could say to me, I think you're a benefit scrounger, you're a welfare willy, and you could say it to my face. But I don't know how long you've been down the allotment, Janet. But you haven't done that yet, have you? So why did you feel the need, or why did you feel secure that you could say those things online to a disabled person? Would you have felt guilty if I had gone and killed myself after those comments? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, going by the way you've systematically attacked me with those comments, I'd say no. I'd say you're completely callous. Humans are strange, aren't they? Strange creatures. Anyway, Janet, I'd just like to say that although you did actually annoy me for about 20 minutes, and I imagine that you probably have reported me, and I'll probably be getting a letter very soon, it doesn't bother me because I've nothing to hide. As I've said, I am literally disabled and have been since birth. When I go to the hospital and they pull out my medical records, it doesn't come in a folder. It comes on a fucking trolley. I shit you not. It comes on a massive trolley. So if anyone at the DWP wants to go and search through my medical records to see if I'm pulling a fast one, feel free. Plenty of bedtime reading there for you, folks. So all you've done, Janet, is call yourself out for the callous, horrible individual that you are. You've also probably given the game away to who you are with the IP address information, which the police now have because it's been logged as a harassment case. So if you do anything like this in the future, I have now records of sustained harassment, which could then go to a hate crime. And obviously disability hate crime is actually quite a serious thing. Janet, you can actually go to prison for disability hate crime. I didn't know if you knew that. And just so you know, Janet, I mean, I'm perfectly fine by this, by the way. I've got a lovely family, lovely kids, and my life's going really good. But not all disabled people are in happy places. And just so you know, Janet, that if you do troll someone online and they did actually go and take their own life, you can actually find yourself in prison for manslaughter. So in case you decide in the future to go and harass another disabled person, just bear that in mind, that you could be doing 7 to 11 years for manslaughter. So anyway, folks, that is quite a sad video to put out on my channel, especially because it's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to help people, especially those with disabilities, get outside and grow their own lives. But it's something that has to be addressed, and it's something that I think that a great many people need to know about, because people need to know what disabled people go through, especially disabled people who speak out on issues, disabled people who are activists, disabled people who are journalists, disabled people who are on Twitter speaking truth to power. Basically, if you're a disabled person and you're trying to make the world better, the chances are that people like Janet will use your disability against you to try and cause you as much pain and suffering as possible. Sadly, that's the world we live in. All I can suggest is if it happens to you, don't let it get to you. These people are horrible. They're probably going through their own sad, pathetic, lonely little lives. And they probably need to feel big and strong and powerful when they lash out at a disabled person. Makes them feel hard. So just remember that it's not your fault. It's the Janets of the world's fault. They've got their issues, and try and brush it off as best you can, and try and get on with your life. And if you are a disabled person that's reported, first of all, I'm really sorry that someone's done that to you. It's shit. It really is shit. But sadly, it's something that many of us will go through. Stay strong. Just stay strong, because at the end of the day, the fact that someone's maliciously reported you says more about them than it does about you. And you'll have your medical records. Yes, you'll have to fight your corner, but it's a battle you're going to win, or at least you hope you win. I know it'll cause stress, and I know it will cause anxiety, and I know the DWP aren't the best people at the best of times. But remember, genuine disabled people out there, you've got nothing to hide. Don't hide yourself away in your house. And that's another thing. That's something that these sorts of comments make disabled people not want to do stuff. They make disabled people feel ashamed that they're enjoying their life. Why would you want to make a disabled person ashamed of living their life? That's quite sad, Janet, isn't it? Really, really sad. And that's dark, Janet. Really dark. I think you should possibly do some soul searching yourself there. Maybe have some counselling. You've probably got your own issues. Anyway, folks, until next time, hope that's cleared a few things up. Take care. Speak soon.